I started in the hotel business in Daytona Beach Shores in April 1st, 1971. And I really married into the hotel business. My wife Barbara's parents had owned a motel in Daytona Beach since 1950. And ever since then, they'd done pretty well with it. I had just graduated from the University of Florida and came back to Daytona and was about to be drafted, or I was going to join the Air Force. I was trying to make up my mind what I wanted to do. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to travel. So my father-in-law said, well, why don't you buy a motel? And I go, a motel? I don't have any money. How can I buy a motel? And so we started looking for hotels, and we found the Oceanfront Villas, which was on this site in 1971, and he and his wife loaned me the money for the down payment, and that's how we got started into the hotel business. When we were deciding to build a two-story building, we wanted to take and figure out some unique things, which number one is we wanted to change the name of the property. The old hotel was called the Oceanfront Villas, and we were always being confused with other hotels that had ocean in their name, and people would call and think we were one hotel when we weren't, or vice versa. They would try to find their guests, their relatives, and they weren't here. So we decided we needed to change our name, and my wife is half Norwegian and her father was completely Norwegian. So we went on a vacation, our first vacation after we had been here for 2 years. We went on a cruise out of Miami on a ship called the Song of Norway. And as we were sitting there in the port, we looked over and they were christening the sister ship, and the name of the sister ship was the Sun Viking. And I turned to my wife and I said, that would be a perfect name for the new hotel. I said, we'd have the Viking in there for your Norwegian heritage. I said we could build a Viking ship out the front so everybody would identify with it. And as we were drawing up the plans to build the building, we happened one weekend to go spend a weekend in Disney World. And they had their first water park there was called Wild Waters, I believe. And they had this wonderful water slide. And as we were driving home, I turned to Barbara and I said, gee, wouldn't it be nice if we could put a little water slide into our new pool at the new hotel? And that's how we got the idea. When we finished the building in 1979, became our trademark, and ever since then we have always marketed towards the families vacationing here in Daytona Beach. Things have certainly changed. I remember when I first got here back in 1971, we had cottages and hotel rooms, and that's the way most of the hotels were built, were either 1 or 2 story hotels and mostly cottages. And of course there was an organization called 2000 Cottages, which we belonged to early on, and that's what we marketed to all the people up north. And certainly things have changed now with the high-rise buildings and the modernization of the beach. But one of the interesting things along the way was the impact that Disney World had on us here in Daytona Beach Shores. When I first bought the hotel in 1971, that was the year that Disney World was opening. There was a lot of speculation on either it was going to be a windfall for Daytona hotels or it was going to hurt them because everybody be staying in Orlando. Well, as history had it, it was both. When they first opened, it was a windfall for the hotels in Daytona Beach and Daytona Beach Shores because they didn't have enough inventory in Orlando. So I would say probably 75% of my guests were either on their way to Disney World or staying here and driving to Disney World. And that happened for the first 5 or 6 years. And then as they started building more and more hotels in the Orlando area, less and less visitors stayed in Daytona Beach Shores because they could stay closer to the mouse in Orlando. So we saw both the good and the bad times over the development of Disney World. And I would speculate today that less than 20% of our guests are either going or coming from Disney World as they travel to Daytona Beach Shores. So that was a big change. And of course the beach has changed. I remember 1971 after Labor Day, You could go look down Atlantic Avenue, and if you saw a car coming, it was a busy day. And the same thing at the beach. You could go down the beach, and if you saw 3 or 4 people on the beach in the off season, it was very slow. This is 2009, and it is a very tough year. I've been in the business 39 years, and it's as tough as I've seen it. With all the unemployment, people don't have the dollars to travel, and therefore they're not going on vacation. So I'm hoping that 2010 things will turn around and we'll get back to normal, that our occupancies will increase, and I'm optimistic about the hotel industry in the future. I think that, we have one of the most beautiful beaches here in the state of Florida, and I think we have a great location, and I think that, we will do well. The beach has certainly changed over the years. It's certainly become, much more crowded, if you will, with both buildings and people, but it's still a beautiful beach, and I think that we've done a very good job of developing it along the way. It's never perfect, but it never will be, but I think we have a wonderful site here, and I've enjoyed the 39 years, and if I had to change anything, I don't know what it would be.